Good evening, you're watching Lookuptv. My name is Louis, that means it's time for the news.
Tonight on Lookup News, Treasury releases 4 billion CDF funds after MPs boycotted induction seminar in Mombasa.
He was an academic giant, somebody who distinguished himself in work of research and teaching.
As a family, as friends, as colleagues, we are devastated.
Kenyans from all walks of life throng Magoha's home in Nairobi to mourn with the family after his departure.
Mzee wa msimamo, si ule mtu mwenye akiongea kitu anarudi nyuma.
Kifo yangu mimi nilistuka na amenisaidia jumii pia, bado mimi ni mzazi na nimeona ambapo ni mzee wa maana. Tumewachwa na kiongozi wa maana sana.
Kenyans share fond memories of former education CS George Magoha.
Yes, some children is supported in school, paying their school fees. He's a very kind person.
And Magoha mourned in his hometown in Ahondo Ratudi village in Siaya County.
Did you know that members of parliament were putting up a good fight in Mombasa, which they actually won? The government, through the Treasury, has finally disbursed 4 billion shillings for the CDF kitty. This comes after the legislators boycotted parliamentary committee sessions since Monday, as Ian Keitany now reports.
The tussle on the disbursement of CDF funds has taken center stage for a while now, with MPs boycotting parliamentary committee sessions, threatening to impeach the Treasury Cabinet Secretary. The government has today disbursed over 4 billion shillings for the CDF kit, with the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula jetting into the coastal city to calm down the legislators after failing to attend the sessions for 2 consecutive days.
We have had now a good plan from the Treasury on how this money will be disbursed, and what the members were asking is not on their own behalf. It was on the behalf of the people they represent that we have sorted amicably, and the Treasury have given a very clear plan on how this will be done.
Look at it, we're probably 3 months, 5 months to the end of the financial year, and very little has happened. So what we would like to do, we would like those funds to be released, so that in going back home with our respective committees to ensure that now children are given those checks, they go back to school. Yes.
The chairperson of the CDF committee, Musa Sirma, has confirmed that various constituencies have received the funds, and the Treasury promising to disburse 2 billion shillings weekly.
Today we have gotten the full report, and I can confirm that we have received yesterday 2 billion, and today we have received another 2 billion. So next week they have given a promise that we shall get another 2 billion on Tuesday.
In 2015, the High Court also ruled the fund as unconstitutional. However, MPs proceeded to the Court of Appeal, where they won the case. As it has been witnessed before, has the government yet again disregarded the ruling of the courts by disbursing the funds? Ian Keitany, Lookuptv.
This man touched many lives in this country, many lives in one way or the other. And today, there was a heavy unending presence of key political figures as they joined the family of Professor George Magoha at his home in Nairobi to condole with the family. Azimio leader Raila Odinga was among the attendees. He eulogized the late CS Magoha as an academic champion who spearheaded several reforms in the education sector.
One after the other, politicians and close friends of the former education CS George Magoha at his home in Lavington, Nairobi County. The leaders had time to consult the family members, who have been overcome by a somber mood after the demise of 2 relatives within a period of 2 weeks.
Yeah, the passing on of our brother, Professor George Magoha, is just a reminder to all of us that we are mere mortals. As a family, as friends, as colleagues, we are devastated. I was in this
house on Monday afternoon when we were discussing with him about the funeral arrangements for Professor Nyabera, who is his brother. And to that extent, we agreed on virtually everything as far as the program is concerned on Saturday.
The Azimio Supremo Raila Odinga eulogized Magoha as an education champion who during his tenure saw key reforms in the education sector.
For the nation and the people of Kenya, we have lost a great Kenyan. The death of Professor George Magoha is a terrible loss at the beginning of this year, 2023. Professor Magoha is somebody who has dedicated his life, that is his working life, in the service of the people of Kenya. All of you know, and I don't need even to stress it. One, that he was an academic giant, somebody who distinguished himself in work of research and teaching.
Odinga described Magoha as a selfless leader who spent his life in public service, as he echoed him for instilling discipline among learners.
But the most important one is this one of bring discipline in management of our examinations. You know, in the past, there were always very many cases of exam cheating. He brought that to a complete end. And you know, he was hands-on all the times. He's been facing the head teachers head-on and trying to introduce discipline. I think he brought discipline in our education system.
Members of the National Assembly were not left behind, as they also gave their tribute to the fallen CS.
Ukaona kwamba alileta sheria za kubadilisha mfumo ya jinsi tunavyotahini wanafunzi na pia mfumo ya CBC.
He's a hard-working Kenyan citizen. He means what he says and says what he means. So, Professor, we have a great loss in you. You left a legacy that should never be broken, a legacy that should forever be preserved. And Prof, you are engraved in our hearts. We will forever remember you, and we love you so much.
Magoha will be buried at his home in Yala in Siaya County, after the burial of his brother, Professor Richard Nyabera, will be buried on Saturday. Shadrack Kareria, Lookuptv.
Just looking at the different leaders there coming together, fighting the other day and today, converging at the home of one who was indeed an icon of leadership in this country. And when the news of his death, Professor George Magoha, was released yesterday, there was shock and disbelief among Kenyans. For indeed, we have lost a gallant leader, especially in the field of education. At his Yala home, neighbors have remembered the late Magoha as a great friend who had enormous kindness for family and colleagues. Our reporter Henry Tende now looks at a cross-section of how Professor Magoha will be remembered, who left an indelible mark in leadership.
When history books are written, the name of the late Professor George Magoha will feature prominently among those who instituted reforms in the education sector. He championed the new education CBC curriculum and was extremely passionate to see the success of its implementation. Back in his home village in Yala, neighbors and friends have remembered the late professor as a darling to many, who was readily available to offer help whenever called upon.
Some children he supported in school, paying their school fees. He was a very kind person. He was a uniting figure. He didn't want anything to do with conflict, strife.
The late Magoha will also be remembered for his no-nonsense approach to issues. Neighbors here say he was a firm believer in truth and wanted things done in a structured manner. Because of this, some viewed the professor as an arrogant person, the notion that those close to him have refuted. To them, Magoha was an incredible person.
Professor was a good man. He loved people, even though people feared him, but he was always very welcoming, and the thing that made people fear him so much is that whatever he wanted done, he wanted to be done. He was feared, but he was always somebody who is ready to support.
Far from his home village, parents, teachers and students of Bungoma DEB School say they will always remember the late professor for developing the learning institution.
He visited the school 3 times. It's rare for a CS, busy as he was, to have visited one school 3 times. We have 3 classrooms in this school. One of them is this one we are looking at, and there are 2 the other side, courtesy of Professor Magoha, through infrastructure of the Ministry of Education.
And we remember Professor for the energy that he put in to ensure that CBC stands, and we are happy that we've made progress because of the support and the energy that he put in to ensure that our children succeed through CBC.
I'm really happy about Professor George Magoha for building classes for us that were enough in classes. We are not really filled up to the brim in classes. We learned very well, and I'm really even sorry for his death, for he passed on yesterday. And as Bungoma DB family, we say that we are really going to miss him because he's the one who built classes for us and even visited our school more than thrice, and we are going to really miss him.
Indeed, the nation has lost a great leader. May his soul rest in peace. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Indeed, many feared him, but most of all, it was respect. And I also had that opportunity while he was at the University of Nairobi to see his work firsthand when he allowed me to do town tours in the university. Well, I'll ask you what you had to say about the death of Professor Magoha.
Akiwa Vice Chancellor Nairobi University, nikawa hapo, ni mzee wa msimamo. Si ule mtu mwenye akiongea kitu anarudi nyuma. Ni mtu ambaye alikuwa akikupata kama un idol without doing anything, immediately unaenda nyumbani. Hakutaka kujua you are the driver, you are the who, you are a cleaner. So long as amekupata un idol, you are doing nothing, you go home.
Na kitu naweza sikia minister fulani amekufa, nikastuka sana, nikashindwa ni ukweli ama bado ni zile tu mambo za internet. Mimi nilistuka, kivyangu mimi nilistuka, na amenisaidia jumii pia, bado mimi ni mzazi na nimeona ambapo ni mzee wa maana. Tumewachwa na kiongozi wa maana sana.
Okay, tunaweza mkumbuka kwa nini alifanya, aliendelesha education vizuri. Hata kama corona ilikuja ikadhuru mambo zingine, but masomo haikuenda nyuma.
You're watching the news on Lookuptv. We're going into a short break now. We'll be back.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
Looking for an institution to further your studies and wholesome growth in serene environment? Kenya Methodist University is your best choice. Join us for diploma, degree, master's and PhD programs in business and economics, education and social sciences, science and technology, medicine and health science. TVET courses are also available. KEMU is a university of many firsts. The first Kenyan private university to graduate medical doctors, the first Kenyan university to offer online and distance learning mode of study, and now online or blended learning. the first Kenya university to offer accelerated trimester system of learning and the first private university to offer TVET courses. Enroll now for January 2023 and May 2023 intakes. Kenya Methodist University. The future is here.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design, with branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa. Our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
And we jump right back into the political fray. Opposition leader Raila Odinga today declared they were not given access to the servers, contrary to evidence given by former IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati and the Supreme Court's verdict. Raila was speaking today after he met Azimio leadership, said the presidential poll results only came from one of the 4 servers. He further went on to say the poll results were actually ready as early as the 10th of August. And he claims Chebukati and his accomplices delayed to hide traces of evidence of what they were doing.
Yule mtu ambaye ako ndani huko ndani katika ABC akapiga parapanda na katoa ukweli ikiwa kule Afrika Kusini. Sio? Hii ni ukweli ambao sisi zote tulikuwa tumejua hapo mbeleni. Maana yake siku ile ya kupiga kura kuna kitu ambacho inaitwa exit poll. Exit poll ni ile kura vile wale watu ambao wanaangalia, wale wataalamu wanaangalia vile watu wamesimama, vile watu wanapiga kura. Maana yake ukitoka pale unaulizwa umpigie nani, umpigie nani. Exit poll inaonyesha kwamba sisi tulishinda na kura zaidi ya 56%. Sasa wale ambao wamekataa kuchapisha hiyo exit poll, lakini the exit poll showed that we won by over 56%. Kawaida exit poll haisemika uongo. Exit poll maana inaonyesha vile watu wamepiga kura. Sasa kila mtu alijua na kwamba tulishinda, lakini yale ambayo yalifanyika sisi sasa tunajua vile ili.
In another corner of the country, we find a Form 2 student at Moi Forces Lynette, who is appealing to well-wishers and friends to assist her family that lives in Kawangware in Nairobi County to offset a loan of 2.9 million shillings they accumulated over a few months within which her father passed away.
Everything seems in order as you approach Lesho Apartments, but on the second floor of this building lives a family that is clinging onto the last string of hope. Phyllis Kemunto still tries to wrap her head around the circumstances that surrounds her family. The family is staring at a bill of 4.4 million shillings following the demise of Abel Omanga Musioma, who succumbed to a brain tumor that has costed the family millions of shillings within a span of 2 years.
Na hatukuwa na pesa. Na tena tukaanza mchango. Tukapata pesa, tukakana na request haya kupaswa kwa kichwa. Hiyo kitu ilitoka, akarudi akapewa kwa HDU. HDU akakaa wiki moja. Tena akasema tena tumbo shida ya tumbo. Tena akaenda tena kwa operation.
was hard because dad alikuwa anafuata after pesa ya hosi. I had to go to school. My brother and I had to go to school. We had rent. It was a burden. But thanks to the church, we managed to get money for the first surgery. Before I did my KCPE, he went for his surgery. And it was unsuccessful because it turned out hiyo tumor ilikuwa isha grow. Na venye imegrow ingetolewa na mapua. So they had to go for the second option, which was a matter of life and death.
Ameka alikufa kwa watu wacha wadogo. Church nilimsaidia mpaka alisoma mpaka mahali amefika. Sasa hapo alikuwa amenunua samba. Hatukuwa tumemaliza kulipa. Alikuwa amepakisa 250. Sasa ndio pesa ipatikane ilipo hapo. Atupate hiyo mwili tupate tumweke huko. Mimi mwenyewe sina wasasi. Sasa tumeacha tu hivyo. Sina wasasi, bila kuwa na wasasi. Sasa tu hivyo. Nilipaki tu sita wasasi, pesa na wasasi, nilipaki tu peka yangu, sina mali naenda, sina hata kazi. Sifrenda saidia watoto wangu.
Tears and worries have become the order of the day in this home. For them, the future is bleak and fragile. Affording a meal is no longer a routine.
Niliacha nikiwa na 15 years and my younger brother ako 10 years.
Her biggest dream is to have her father buried, her school fees paid, and a roof over their head for her family.
Sometimes we don't even have food to eat because we don't know, are we going to eat? Is the money we have even enough?
The 15-year-old forced to mature due to circumstances that have forced her to step up.
Nilikuwa napenda if our deputy president Gachagua, if you're listening to this, our family right now, we need a lot of help. I need to go back to school. I need to keep scoring good grades. But say we have so much on our shoulders. The pending bill. It's just too much for us to handle. So if you're really seeing this message, we really need your help. I really need your help. I want to go back to school.
It is the pain they live with every day, ever since the breadwinner of this home passed away. The family is humbly appealing to well-wishers to support in every way possible so as to offset the enormous bill that haunts them day and night. Cecilia Lubanga, Lookuptv.
Communities in arid areas have for a long time grappled with the adverse effects of drought. Thousands of human beings and livestock have been lost. Women now in Samburu County may have found a solution to this problem. They have turned to making beads to earn a living and fend for their families.
Due to the prevailing drought menace in the arid areas in the country, pastoralists from Samburu, Lookuptv, Isiolo and Marsabit have found a different way of sustaining themselves after thousands of their animals died due to hunger. At least 1,200 women from 8 community wildlife conservancies across the 4 counties engage in beadwork courtesy of support from the Northern Rangelands Trust, an organization that provides them with all the raw materials. The women could not hide their joy as the NRT Trust has helped them generate income and help them fend for their families.
Tuko na mbuzi mingi lakini yote imeisha. Sasa ni shanga tu ndio sisi tunapata, tunapata chakula ya watoto. Tunashona shanga aina yote. Tunashona kiolda, tunashona costas, tunashona kikombe. Hiyo tunashona. NRT tunasaidia sisi. Kuletea si order, tunashona, au anakuja kuchukua, analipa tu sisi. Anaenda basi au tena anaenda kusia wasungu. Kwa sababu imesaidia sisi sana kwa huko kwa sababu sisi Wasamburu hatujui mahali ya kuhusia shanga.
With earnings of up to 5,000 per week, the women now provide for their families with ease and also save money through a circle.
NRT amefanyia sisi kitu ya maana sana. Kwa sababu zamani tulikuwa tunashona shanga kwa hapa na tulikuwa tunakuja tu tunapatua shanga, tunashona kacha alafu tunapatua pesa na mkono. Saa hii mahali tuko tunasema tumeendelea sana. Kwa sababu saa hii Kuchana shanga yako ni wewe peke yako ndio unajua shanga yako itaingia saa ngapi. Ametufunza tena NRT sisi hasa tujue kusave pesa yetu. Hii shanga tukuuza, tuko na pesa ile tunaenda wewe unaenda kujisavia. Analetea sisi tena funza maneno na sako. Sasa pesa yetu unachana tu alafu unaweka sako. Pesa yako ile akaunti yako tu ya sako ile NRT amefunza sisi tujue.
The director of Bidworks at NRT, Beatrice Lempira, said the program does not interfere with the daily routine of the participating women as they receive orders on specific products and work on them from their respective homes and submit them within the stipulated timelines for delivery to the clients.
Tuko na wamama 1200 ambao wanafanya kazi ya ushanga katika conservancies 8 ikiwa ni Laikipia County, Isiolo County, Samburu and Marsabit County. Na beadworks inafanywa kwa nyumbani during free time. Kwa hivyo sio factory. Haijaribu kudisrupt maisha ya wamama. Mama anapewa order, anakubaliwa na tunaelezeana ile siku inafaa kurudi, yeye anajiweka kwa mpango yake. Kwa hivyo sisi kwa kuona wamama wetu hatuwaoni tu kama wamama wa kawaida. Tunawatambua kama wanabiashara ambao wanajua kazi yao, lakini pia bado wanaweka mila yao na kujenga familia yao kwa mahali walipo.
County government through its officials expressed commitment to work closely with NRT to search for markets both locally and internationally as well as providing financial support.
Na changamoto kubwa ni market, kutafutia wakina mama markets. NRT wamefanya part yao. Na ningekuja kusema kama sisi county government tutakaa chini na NRT, haswa kiongozi wa trade ya NRT Beatrice, director wa trade kwa NRT section, tukae chini tuseme ni vipi tunasaidia wakina mama tufungue markets zingine nyingi.
Local leaders also vote to support the women and their project, adding that it is a way out of pastoralism, which often is marred with cattle banditry among other problems.
Maisha sio ufugaji peke yake. Kuna njia nyingi ya kuishi ambaye sio kushunga ng'ombe ama kwenda kuiba ng'ombe. Na pia naambia wamama kwamba ukitengeneza shanga haiwezi biwa na wezi, labda mama tu aibe shanga ya mwingine. Na pia wakati ya jilali shanga haiwezi kufa. Mimi mwenyewe nimesomeshwa na pesa ya ile wamama wanatengeneza. So hiyo kazi mimi niko tayari kusaidia wamama kushikana na NRT, kushikana na organization yoyote ambayo itakuja kusaidia wetu.
Courtesy of the Beadworks project, the women donated over 1.6 million towards conservation, being 5% of their total sales for the year 2022 to support the conservation efforts.
In the day's sport, KCB FC came from behind to settle to a 1-1 draw with Posta Rangers in a hard-fought midweek clash at the Kasarani Annex. KCB will now travel to Moroni for their next fixture, where they will play against Wazito.
Game leo tumeweza kuona kwamba tumepatia wachezaji wengine pia nafasi ya kuweza kujionyesha, na tunashukuru sana kwa performance ambazo wameweza kutupatia leo. But all in all naweza sema kwamba tumeweza kusukuma game na kuweza kuona kama tunaweza pata ushindi. Tunaweza pata kuona kwamba tuliweza concede mapema sana, tuliconcede la first quarter ya game. So tumekuwa tukichase game all through, but kupata point moja tunashukuru sababu tunaelewa kwamba ligi ni marathon, sio short sprints. Tuko frustrated kwa sababu 1 point pia ni better than losing. So 1 point inaweza tukari somewhere, but all in all lazima tuweze kuweza kuona how best tunaweza win in our next match very fast. Yeah. Okay, so sema disappointment kwa sababu kuna timu yote ambayo ni timu ndogo katika Kenya Premier League. So tunawa respect kama wapinzani wetu. So wameweza kujikakamua, wakaweza kupata point moja kutoka kwetu. So kwetu ni kurudi tu kuweza kuona how best tunaweza fanya wachezaji wetu nguvu iweze kurudi back na tuweze kushinda. So tuna respect na tunashukuru kwa point moja.
Schools have just opened, and very quickly the Ministry of Education has released their calendar for sports, as announced by Belio Kipsang, the Permanent Secretary. Term 1 will see activities at Moi Girls Eldoret that will host games April 22 to 30th. They'll have handball, swimming, hockey, athletics, and basketball. Term 2 will see action at Kakamega High School from August the 5th to the 12th, while East Africa School Sports Championships will take place in Bujumbura, August the 15th. Five-time winners of the Carabao Cup, Manchester United, travel tonight west of London to face four-time winners Nottingham Forest in the first leg of the Carabao Cup at City Ground Stadium. Forest will have reached the sub-finals not before 1992, when Eric Ten's side tipped the favourites to win their match. Just scratching by the post with EPL results. You know where to get more of that. That wraps up our bulletin for tonight. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.